here if you want. If you need help with. So we're gonna go right ahead. We can get situated up here. All right. Before I officially call this meeting to order again, I want to thank everybody for being here, especially to the DFEMS management and key staff. I do know I spoke with the commissioner that he advised that Chief Mesa will be sitting for on his behalf, and I would also like to also extend the same recognition and appreciation to the mayors of Rhoda and Tinian, and for allowing the deputy commissioners from the respective senatorial district, in this case Deputy Commissioners Ray de la Cruz from Tinian and Deputy Commissioner Steve Mesgum from Luta, to join us this afternoon. And I also like to recognize the representative for planning or Office of Management and Budget, Nadia Benjamin. Correct? Pua. Okay, got it. Oh, okay. Thank you, Senator Vini, for the clarification. And also assisting the committee from the Legislative Bureau, immediately down to my lower left is David Dimapon, the fiscal analyst. And to my lower right is Antoinette Villagomez, the legal counsel. And across the chamber here into the gallery, immediately behind Ms. Nadia is Alexis, the legislative assistant. Joe Bermudez is the legal counsel of the Senate. And Jolene Tagabo is legislative assistant for the committee as well. So, that being said, I'd like to call this budget hearing to order. Today is Thursday, August 13 at approximately 2:20 p.m. here in the Senate chamber. And before I ask the clerk to call the roll to affirm a quorum, I want to remind everyone that we are also on live feed, so that the viewing public can able to see our meeting today. So with that, I now recognize Jolene to call the roll. Go ahead, Jolene.
Senator Francisco M. Borja, Senator Francisco Q. Cruz, Senator Jude U. Hoffschneider,
Ege.
Senator Sixto K. Gisomar, Senator Justo S. Kitiwat, Senator Vinny F. Sablon,
Present.
Senator Teresita A. Santos. Mr. Chairman, 4 members of the FA committee are present, 3 members are absent.
With 4 members present, we have the quorum to conduct our meeting today. Let the record reflect that Senator Sixto Gisomar, Senator Francisco M. Borja, and Senator Justo Kirigua are hereby excused from today's meeting. At this time, the chair recognizes anyone from the members to effectuate a motion to adopt the meeting's agenda.
Motion to adopt today's budget hearing agenda with DFEMS, Mr. Chairman.
And it's offered by Senator Vini Sablon to adopt today's meeting agenda. Do we hear a second? Under discussion. Ready? All those in favor of the motion to adopt today's meeting agenda, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And before the chair asks to go directly to item 6, I also want to recognize our hardworking Sergeant at Arms Ben Terlai for his assistance here in the proceedings. So with that, under item 6, under new business, fiscal year 2021 budget hearing, DFEMS, and with no objection from the members, the chair now recognizes Chief Mesa to offer an opening statement Chimesa, you have the floor. Please press the mic just once. Thank you.
Tess. Good afternoon, Chair, Honorable Senators. Thank you for allowing us to be here this afternoon. The Department of Fire and EMS is an essential emergency response agency, a safety net for our Sinamay community and for all of us here. Dedicated to the task of saving lives and protecting property from fire, pre-hospital medical emergency care, roadside accidents, typhoon disasters, and non-emergency calls. Presently, the fire department personnel and other Sinamay agencies and the rest of the world continues to fight the COVID-19 pandemic, a highly contagious virus that has created a finite line between our safety and the expected standards of the emergency response services. Please make no mistake, the fire department saves lives, protects properties at any given time, hour or day, or even night. We continue to plan for the worst, but pray for the best. We all must have a team spirit to keep our emergency responders safe so they can continue to do the essential work of keeping us, our family, and our children safe in this beautiful Sinamay Island we call home. The department essential functions is to provide a positive presence in our community, and we will continue to make every effort to provide quality personnel, quality service to our Sinamay residents, Saipan Road and Tinian. Before I continue, I'd like to acknowledge my staff in the galley. We have Lieutenant Jay Duran from Logistics. We have Captain Stanley Santos from our enforcement, and my admin staff with Sergeant Nadia Saralu, Michi, and Vanessa. On the documents provided before you, it kind of explains pretty much on some of the challenges that we face on a daily basis. As we continue to provide emergency service and non-emergency calls to our community with fire, medical emergencies, motor vehicle accidents, hazardous material, weather-related emergencies, brush fires, missing person, technical rescue, water rescue, building fire inspections, fire code compliance, building plan reviews, permitting, public education, CPR certification, and water service. The effects of the past disasters from Solar, Mancot, YouTube, and the pandemic that we are facing today continues to challenge each and every department in the Sinamay. Another challenge we face is the personnel that exist in the department from Saipan Road and Tinian. Saipan with 126 firefighters, 1 fire commissioner, 2 assistant fire chief, 5 captains, 12 lieutenants, 39 firefighter 3s, 17 firefighter 2s, and 25 firefighter 1 and 3 admin. As for Rhoda, we have 1 deputy commissioner, 1 assistant chief, 1 fire captain, 1 lieutenant, 2 firefighter 2, 2 firefighter 3s, 4 firefighter 2s, and 9 firefighter 1s, and 3 admin. And for the island of Tinian, we have 23 firefighters, 1 deputy commissioner, 1 lieutenant, 1 firefighter 3, 4 firefighter 2, and 1 10 firefighter 1s and 2 admin. We understand that the disasters that exist in the past and the one we're experiencing during the pandemic continues to affect our general budget. With that mentioned, every fiscal year we tend to continue to stand strong in regards to personal salaries. On the 3rd page provided for you, pretty much we gave a budget versus an actual expenditure, and the number tells its stories. The fire emergency response continues with the structure fires within the Sinamay is 7, automobile fires at 4, wildland fires at 136, suppression assist medics at 44, fire rescue assist medics at 86, hazardous conditions, trash fires, citizen complaints, false alarms, a total of 1,324. Again, those are the challenges that we continue to face because the emergencies still exist. Under the EMS, the emergency medical services, with abdominal pains, we're looking at 126, breathing problems at 456, chest pains at 273, sick persons are usually at 544, transportation incident at 240, inter-facility care at 898, strokes and CVAs are pretty much at 30, assaults with minor injuries or injuries are 56, and all others gives us a total at 4,433. On the enforcement departments, we continue to do the fire code inspections for fire safety. As you look at the document before you, I believe that's on the 4th page, it provides you a good understanding that renewal is pretty much on hold because of the pandemic, and all the establishment or businesses are pretty much not open. Again, we have a permit of 580 that were issued out within this year, new permits at 125, renewal permits at 549, with conditional permits at 41 and fire permits at 3. Search and rescue involving fireboat missions, standby, distress swimmers, missing person on land, body recovery, missing swimmers, confined space rescues, and drowning and diving accidents, of a total of 38 response. With that mentioned, these are the challenges that we continue to face. We need to meet the standards of our workplace conditions to meet health and safety needs for personnel that work a 24-hour work schedule. It is very important that we continue to have a cleanliness and sanitized station because of the pandemic. Sustainment of the total resources needed for emergency response is another challenge we continue to face, with personal protective equipment, fire emergency operation equipment, supplies, repairs, and replacements. This is to include the ambulance, equipment supplies, fire code enforcement equipment and supplies, and enhanced training, search and rescue equipment, supplies, training, and repairs and maintenance. These are challenges that we continue to face every fiscal year. Again, I'd like to emphasize that we acknowledge the hardship we are all facing today. Solutions. With the solutions that we can bring forth today is pretty much with the grants that you see before you, that some that were awarded to the fire department. The state fire assistance for forestry were receiving $30,000. EMS medical services for children at $69,000. The National Highway Safety Fire Administration we were given $53,000 to purchase equipment for vehicle extrication. Again, for the solutions to our continuing problem, it's not just these federal grants that were granted to us, but federal grants that exist that we need to continue to apply to assist us further in sustaining our capabilities. Another solution that we'll continue to see is the revolving funds that exist in the department from the emergency medical service, the EMS, and the fire code enforcement. These revolving funds continue to support the operation needs to continue the capability of our services. In fiscal year 21, department's goal is pretty much to continue to apply for federal assistance to sustain the operations for Saipan Road and Tinian, continue to work with the public assistance for reimbursements for our labors, repairs, and replacements of equipments, apparatus, stations, and office electronics, which were destroyed from YouTube and some from the COVID-19. one of our goals is to meet the National Protective Association NFPA 1851 personal protective equipment firefighter turnout gears, which is a safety concern and health conditions that we need to address. Again, with the solutions given is the revolving funds. We continue to work with the public assistance for overtime backfill impacted by the COVID-19 at 100%, hopefully. Station 1 and Station 5 hardening to, because of typhoons, continue to destroy our stations. We feel that it's needed to be hardened, so we were granted a grant to replace those stations' roofing. Station generators for replacements is another solution that we're given opportunity to apply for, and we were somewhat informed that there was funds which we have found to help that assistance. Rhoda, I believe, and Tinian were given the opportunity to replace their generators, and I'll give them the opportunity to explain that. Another concern that brings the department would be the Station 6 north of Saipan back to operations. This is the one in Sunroki. Provided before you is a personal community health and safety spending plan that we hope to address some of our essential needs in regards to sustaining the capability of the fire services. And again, everything there was given to you. The amount that you see on paper, it's pretty much a quotation that was provided before us. And this is to supply and support Saipan Road and Tinian. Our current priorities right now is to enhance the training of the fire suppression, EMS, hazmat, and all other trainings for the safety response of all emergency personnel, especially now with the COVID-19. We are required to meet or recommended to meet NFPA national standards for health and safety of personnel. We continue to address the setbacks. We need to continue to address the setbacks from the effects of COVID-19 that put us on hold for almost 3-4 months, even longer. We need to enhance the quality of personnel and service capabilities, collaborate efforts with other state territories with specialized teams. The department needs to invest roughly about 45,000 to build a 500,000 or more new station in Sunroki. That's still a negotiation with the investor in Sunroki. Station Susupi, which is considered Station 1, needs an upgrade due to the limited accommodations for other division and administrative space office space. Again, another priority is our turnout gears. Firefighter turnout gear compactor, washer and dryer, which is another concern or a health safety issue because of the topic in the fire service is cancer related to structure fires. The open rack, again, that was given a price. That is because that when personnel respond to these structure fires, they are required to hang their turnout gears to off-gas whatever's hidden within their turnout gear so they don't contract it to their families or fellow employees. Again, a non-skid to prevent falls and injuries at the fire station. Replace Rhoda and Tinia's vehicle extrication equipment, which involves a spreader, cutter, ram, and airbags. This is the equipment we use for auto accidents where victims are trapped. So I know that's a mouthful, but that's pretty much our challenge, our solution, and benefits. For the benefits with the revolving funds and the federal grants, the department will continue to provide quality personnel and quality service. The benefits that we'll continue to get from the federal funds and the revolving funds is community confidence. personnel health and safety will be addressed. New and modernized safety equipment's needed because of the current situations, or new innovation in protecting personnel from either being involved in a car accident or protecting their homes from fire. Thank you for the opportunity.
Mrs. Osmasi, Chief Mesa. The chair would like to recognize, we'll start with first senatorial, no? Deputy Commissioner Mescun, would you like to offer some statement in regards to your presentation today?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I probably yield for now until maybe further more clarification that Frank can jump in if may.
Not a
Thank you,
problem.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, it's the same ask for Deputy Commissioner Ray? Same? You for now? Okay. Perfect, thank you. Before I open the floor for questioning to be asked by the members, I want to recognize the presence of the Secretary of Finance, Dave Atalik. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. And Special Assistant for Management and Budget, Vicky Villagomez. Thank you. At this time, the chair would like to recognize any member. In this case, to my left, Senator Vini Sablon, to offer your questions to the Department of Fire and Emergency Management. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon and welcome to everyone that are present here in the chamber. To Acting Commissioner, Mr. Mesa, welcome, and to the resident directors for DFEMS, Mr. Mescun and Mr. De La Cruz. Mr. Mescun, welcome back to. Is that your seat that when you were a senator? Is that your seat, or do you sit across? Yeah. It's your seat. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Just to kind of lighten things up. Welcome back, Mr. Mescun. And I'd like to also welcome our Secretary of Finance and our Special Assistant for Management and Budget, your staff, and also most importantly to all the DFEMS staff. Welcome to the chamber as we go through this exercise of budget hearings, so we can equally distribute needed funds to continue the services that our community so deserves. Mr. Mesa, Acting Commissioner, I'm very impressed with your presentation, especially because you put out solutions and benefits. That is great. That is not a usual for many of the budget hearings, but you covered all grounds. So I'm sure that alleviated a lot of the questions that we have, but nonetheless, we'll go ahead and go through just maybe some clarifications as we go along. I'll probably, like I did this morning, Mr. Chairman, I won't ask all my questions at once. I'll try to craft questions as we go along. But my first question is, I'm not sure if you touched on furlough employees. Does the department still have furloughed employees? How many employees were DFEM staff were furloughed, and do you have those staff back in the department right now?
Yes, we did have 10 of our personnel furlough. We got the administrator's approval to recall them back. Some of them took 6 of them took effect this week, Monday, and the other 4 are scheduled for sometime in September. But yes, the intention of bringing them back was one of the commissioner's concern because of the overtime issue.
And you did include them in, I'm not sure, I didn't look at it, I'll just ask you, you did include them, or they were included in the 2021 fiscal year budget request, correct?
That's correct. That also includes the remaining fiscal of this year. They were not included in the budget, so we had to find additional funds to support their salary. I think they were estimated at $68,000 to bring them back for the remaining fiscal year, and 422,000 for the fiscal year 21.
Thank you. Perfect. Moving to the revolving funds, I know there are two, right? Business Unit 3563, that's the Fire Safety Code, and Business Unit 3568, Fire Lane, correct? So that's two
more.
revolving accounts, right?
There's three actually
Three.
total.
What's the other?
EMS.
EMS plus EMS. Okay. And in those, I just wanted to ask. There are categories in each of the revolving funds and where their uses should be directed. I noticed that there are utilities, for example, utilities in multiple of those accounts. Is that utilities in general? Do you use the funds that go to utilities at all these structures or stations that DFEMS operates, or are each utility category fund specific to a certain operation? Like say EMS, is it just for where the EMS station's at, or?
That is correct. Every revolving fund has its requirements or specifics. For example, the EMS is very strict in how it's actually spent, because in the language it states that it's only required for expenditure for purchase of rescue or ambulance, rescue equipments, training, and ambulance supplies and equipment.
So all of those are accounted for when they're expended, right? All the funds for that.
Yes, it's pretty much accounted for. Again, with the fire code revolving funds, that has a little flexibility, so that allows us to play with all others that's needed when we come shortfall from all others operation costs from our actual budget.
Okay, perfect. I asked that because it'll help us in our deliberations on the budget when the divisions are done on where the needs are. But that's good that the revolving funds are sort of a safety net for when your general funds are come to a shortfall. So that's great to know. Thanks for the clarification there. Now on a letter from the DFEMS August 10 letter, and this was directed to the Fiscal Affairs Chairman, Senator Hofschneider. It was mentioned that DFEMS has not received aid in personnel or operation expenses in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So is that correct? I want to know, in particular, you do have staff that have assisted and aided under the pandemic, say in quarantine, correct?
Yes, but that doesn't come directly to the department. It goes directly to the personnel's salary. So in regards to the assistant in general, it's not specific, because as a department we don't receive that funds, but as an individual firefighter assisting with the quarantine, they receive assistance in regards to overtime. So we don't pay overtime, we just pay their standard salary.
Okay, so you pay their regular hours as if they were working as a firefighter, and any assistance or hours worked as or with under the COVID-19 task force is paid in addition to their
salary.
daily salary.
Correct.
Okay, so the hours are the hours separated? Like, do they actually do, say your shift or their shift is 8 to 5, and they do 4 hours with COVID? Do you pay the entire 8 hours under your regular DFEM account, and then they get an extra 4 hours on? You know what I'm trying to
Yes.
get at?
The way it's actually set up right now is a rotation in all personnel. So what happens is they would be assigned to the quarantine site for a duration of 1 month, and we will continue to pay their standard salary out of our department account, and then anything exceeding the standard hours of 106 would be paid by the COVID-19
Okay, so so DFEMS continues to pay their
regular salary.
regular salary, whether they're at even if they're quarantined.
Yes, that's correct.
But then if their services are needed back to their original position, then they come back, right?
After they completed their work cycle, because they are usually assigned a month. So as a rotation, we usually in the beginning we signed 30 people at one point. After 1 month, there was a rotation. Now we're down to, I believe, 12 because of the overtime issues. So we kind of scaled it down because of the services that we continue to need. So to your question, we pay, regardless if they were at the station or at Kanoa, we pay their standard salary. Overtime is being paid by COVID-19.
Okay, that's the that's what I was looking at, the clarification on those actual hours, where they're at and whatnot. So thank you for the clarification of that. I was kind of hoping that we could drive COVID-19 funds to the department, since so that we can actually kind of untighten the or be flexible in moving other general fund monies around, but apparently that's not how.
No, unfortunately, I did bring that attention in the beginning of this COVID-19. Unfortunately, based on the regulations under the federal assistance, they can't pay your regular salary.
It has to be there. The operations has
Overtime,
to be
yes.
COVID-19 specific. Okay, we got that. Mr. Mesa, can you touch more? Just one more question, and then I'll yield and try to come back. Could you touch more on the negotiations of the Northern Fire Station, the San Roque Fire Station, and what the I'm not sure if you know any details on it, but what's being negotiated now? Is it the property? Is it what's needed as in the fire station, or any standards or whatnot?
So currently, the ongoing discussion was for the investor to build the fire station, and then we were supposed to take care of all permitting process. We just received the property from public land this week. Now it's just a matter of the investor given the opportunity of personnel, because they need to do 2 work sites, and I believe last I spoke with him was the existing number of employees that he has right now building the hotel is 30 skilled employees, and we kind of said, we don't just want anybody to build the fire station, we want skilled personnel as well to build that fire station. So the plan was actually scheduled to do a groundbreaking. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen at the end of the year. And we're in the process right now of getting assistance from DPW and helping us with the floor plan. What is existing that we need to put in play on behalf of the department would be the survey, and to move forward. But yes, we are moving forward slowly. We want to move quick. We want to be very, how do you say this? We want to be spontaneous, but we don't want to be reckless.
Thank you. I know it's a challenge, especially in this time. The pandemic has really thrown a curveball at all of us. So the plans are what were once plans. We got to return back to the table again. But was there a written agreement for these negotiations? I know that in the initial talks, it was because they desired to obtain the property where the old fire station was, so it could be one of the amenities of the investment there, which is the hotel. And I think it was for parking, I guess. I may be wrong, but was there a written agreement on these negotiations between the investor and the department?
When I came in the negotiation early this year, I did question that. Unfortunately, there was nothing written. So because there was a lot of hearsay of this is what they're providing and this is what they're going to provide. So when that question was brought up, there was nothing concrete to help that agreement.
Okay, maybe that's one thing we'll check. I'm not sure if they've obtained the property already, but that's a DPL thing. We'll kind of look into that. But I just wanted to get more specifics on that, and hopefully when all is said and done, and at the end of the day, when we're back to our regular normal, we can see that bear fruit. But Thank you, Chairman. I yield for now. Again, like this morning, I'll try to craft questions as we go along and as other members ask their questions. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Mesa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Vinny Sablan. Thank you, Chief Mesa. The chair now recognizes Senator Francisco Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I guess acting commissioner, right? Or just should we address you, acting commissioner, or just Chief Mesa?
Chief would be nicer.
Thank you, and welcome, and Deputy Commissioner from the island of Tinian and the island of Rhoda. Senator Meskin, welcome back to the chamber. I know that when every department that submitted budget, they want more. I don't know, fire and DPS, they ask for more. Sometimes they lower it down as to what their proposal or request budget. But I know that at the end of the day, it's always DPS and defense getting more because of unexpected like overtimes and because of either incident or any kind of calamity. Anyway, I'm supporting departments that is very essential and for the safety of our community. The question I would like to pose is to just clarification. Though you bringing back those that have been furloughed, you mentioned earlier, are those that you brought back to the department? Are those going to be under federal funded or under your department's budget? In other words, are you given COVID-19 assistance?
No, sir. Upon the return, it is our obligation to find resource within the department, which is going to take place from our revolving funds for the remaining fiscal year. The biggest concern I have, excuse me, would be fiscal year 21.
So it's your own
For the
funds, not any types of
federal assistance.
additional funding from COVID.
No, sir, none.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And I'm looking at the handout that we were provided, and you, as you stated earlier, in regards to the rank and files. I see the second senatorial district that the missing rank on in between. Do you believe that all the fire department should be in uniform?
On a very careful note, yes, I would say I would agree to that. But we want to make sure that when we put people in rank and file, that there is a certain standards that they are required to meet. I would like to say time of service. Unfortunately, time of service does not provide the vital skill craft for leadership. But yes, a rank and file in every department being uniform would address the immediate needs within the rank and files.
Thank you. I'd like to see that being addressed, and I know I'm not talking about funding. This can be arranged without funds, and just to make sure that the rank and files and all fire departments are in uniform. I love to see that that everyone is all the same, so that there won't be no discrimination or whatever that might be bringing up to our office in regards to not only fire department, but there's different areas also that have been calling us. So this can be done without funding. I know you cannot raise or promote someone with funding because we don't have the money, but at least for the rank and file to be in uniform among all the fire department. So I ask that you know, with the deputy commissioner, maybe this can be, and I know this can be done because funding is not an issue here.
That's very true, sir. But I would like to give the applicant the opportunity to make that decision because the responsibility he's going to be put on his shoulder might be an issue with his compensation. So,
Un- Yes, sir, unless, I will not argue further, unless the second third district fire department is not qualified, the fire that are there, they are not qualified for that subject position. Otherwise, if they are qualified, then I love to see the rank and files are all in uniform.
and
Thank
yes,
you.
I support that.
Thank you, Chief, and Mr. Chairman. I'll you for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cruz. Thank you, Chief Mesa. Chair recognizes Senator Terry Santos.
Thank you, Chair, and so good afternoon, Acting Commissioner, Chief Mesa, and welcome back, Deputy Commissioner Messinen, and nice to see your good Deputy Commissioner also from Tinian here in our chamber. And so I have two questions. The first question, so we have about 6 or 7 Rota firefighter cadets under the WIA program who were not able to complete their academy here due to the COVID. And so I understand that the Grants Management Office submitted grants or funds request to the Insular Affairs Office to help fund these cadets, and that grant has been approved. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. And so may we know if those funds have already been drawn down to absorb this WIA cadets into the DFEMS Department of Rhoda?
Before I can get into further detail, I would like to read the grants specifics. And again, we need to make sure that we address the financial burden that the department is going to be obligated at the end of the year, because I believe they're only obligated for 1 year. That's why I don't want to elaborate much until I actually read the grant.
All right, so we'll reserve that. So my next question would be, Deputy Commissioner Messinen, during the past several months ago on Rhoda, we have seen bushfire arson or arsonist fire. What's the term for that?
Thank you, Senator Santos. If I may, Mr. Chairman, be acknowledged to go on the our vernacular so I can explain it more in
Okay.
detail.
So is the term bushfire arson or arsonist fire?
Senator Santos bunti ti ningi donya no buro na siya no lingyan no ano man panaan na niya arsonist lo minagay taw wafin ini para zanya man destrosa galon tono pues unggan wahay no ta sucedi gini pas no kulan 4-3 meses malufan sa buntin lipara no kwanto bagi doko cabinet meeting ni members no acknowledge todo no lo uno na dangkulo minagay na distroso fa mas masotsogi papa da sinya agwina ni siya tawto halum tono uno ni man ga halum tono otro pura aloki tawto na di lanchirias na hasonggi lugar ni Porofangwalo zaman finalagwayon bunti ini Porofangwalo sinya bunti tintensiona lo gwina tempo taza no makineria ni para pansinat baloki no departamento ni agrikultura ni para paninay asistimento po ni na bunti no siya man masusesi di gini man malofan pos no kulan no tintensiona di say toto mangwalo lo hunggan kulan disquido loki ang patatan sa debi ugwaha dangwazulo ni manhono as sinno man mapinmisa no fanano wato gi departamento do fan manyuli no papinya pero fan manyongi zabula man masusedi gi durante nistia ni tempo no anglo na bula man uhuzong man manyonggi unggan sinya ta pegano siya na puro grupo no likfinonya tigof bonita sa arsonist lo bunti dinansini finono mo no ni Senator Santos na arsonist mo gay no sa bunti sinya no siya maintensyon na dali nansyo aning unggan man masusedi no sige man malofan no 3 meses 4 meses man lofan tati.
And the reason why I raised that, Deputy Commissioner, is because, when these situations occur, DFEMS and sometimes with the support of Rota DPS, you unite your resources to extinguish those fires, and you know, it may cause some impact in your financial resources, you know, the budget that your department is provided for. And so has the department taken, you know, maybe as do some sort of investigation, so that, you know, we have to bring these people that are, or individuals that are responsible to this bushfire, they need to be brought to, you know, to court, so that this needs to be stopped.
Yeah, Dinansyo, no, Senator Santos, you're totally right. Unfortunately, my people is not no find any direction edi para masoda nunggan you did this you know, no intention of arson, or for that matter na we catch you in the act. We never had no catch anybody, but yes, I totally agree. I support Izomo na we have to bring these people, because I've been mentioning this over to my prevention commanders to make sure that we do fire patrol our vulnerable areas. Unfortunately, we never found, unless no people are just calling up that there is a brush fire, or for that matter, no. When we arrive, there's nobody there. So only our community that are calling in, making that no was that no call that there is some actual fire in specific areas. So hanggang I really wanna make sure na I wanna boost up also my enforcement to do that, because it is very very no alarming for this year that we, and in fact not only Rota but even Tinian simultaneously we seen brush fire running up in Saipan at the same time Tinian and Rota on the same time, same day and same month. So actually I think we need the appropriate one. I think we need to boost up is enforcement, no, in but at the same time Loki, we the resources that we got is very limited. So that's one tremendous impact that we are facing. I know the financial capability nowadays is not in leverage for us, or is not in favor for us, for all the department had to be catered low. I'm checking other avenues in support with these fires, brush fires that are occurring, and I'm happy now that the rain is coming in and it's all wet. Bus by sa kanifan pago de si arsonist do tsagi sumongifan pago da tali ko sinya na fanila da sinya tagatsa.
Or deputy, you know, give them citations.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so I have nothing further this time, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Santos. And if I may, if there's no objection from the members, can I just pose Chair would like to just pose a couple questions, and maybe to the question that was posted earlier. And Secretary of Finance, earlier when DPS was here, we noticed a publication, no, 2.5 and some change for from Department of Interior, most notably DFEMS and DPS, and I think the question was posted earlier by Senator Terry. That being out in the you know, for publication, is that, can you share some to the committee? If it's how is that going to factor into and what's the usual turnaround time in terms of that approval and actual putting people in to facilitate the program that was awarded?
Thank you, Chairman, members of this committee. The question you're bringing up is a grant that OGM had received from OIA for those programs based on submissions from the different departments requesting for technical assistance, and in these cases they were outlined, and those were the requests that were approved by OIA. Turnaround on OIA grants can be fairly quick in terms of submitting your proposed plan, and then they create the accounts, and should be, if all things line up, in less than a couple weeks usually.
Thank you. And if I may just request to, because I think it's timely that they approve that because we're on the cusp of new fiscal year, and I do know that there are some programs that was program funds for some through Workforce Investment Agency, no, some trainees that have been training, then they cease to exist. I mean, the training kind of stopped because of the pandemic directive, but it is also my understanding that there was an approval to continue funding those WIA cadets up to 30 September 2020. So the reason why I asked this because it couldn't have come at a better time when they announced that it's approved based on the request by DFEMS in this case, and it specifically says to fund full-time employment of DFEMS. So I'm running with that direction, and I just need the committee needs some guidance, no, as we craft out. We certainly don't want to. It is my understanding that when they picked up those 6 FTEs, those 6 cadets, I'm of the assumption that they wanted to hire them eventually, no, however it is funded, no, unless they change their mind, the defense changed their mind to go the other way, but but that still remains. That wish still stands, no, Chief, then Deputy Commissioners.
Certainly, yes. We just got to make sure that that we read the fine print, because if I'm not mistaken, the language states somewhat of train personnel. That's why I cannot really elaborate more until I actually know the full details, Mr. Chair.
Okay. If you can just, I think we craft this out in verbatim based on techno assistant grant funding narrative, and it says to train 6 cadets each from Saipan, Tinian, and Luta through the Cadet Employment Resilience Program, make them full-time DFEMS firefighting personnel. Period. So I'm assuming that you train them and then you get them to full-time capability. So and it's a substantial amount, which it's commendable for the agency to be given in such a short time frame in terms of requests and the turnaround of being granted. So Secretary, and if you can allow us or the committee to some guidance on this as we craft along, not only necessarily Paguana diyan no, we get the clarification on this so that we can be able to plan out the rest of the budgeting process. And I just wanted to find out, maybe this can also apply to the OMB, can also assist in this. At this juncture right now, given the 48% cuts, how do we approach DFEMS personnel? Are they still on 106, 86, or where are we at? Are they on full swing?
Currently, we propose a 96-hour work schedule, where the current work schedule is supposed to be at 106. But with the current situation we're experiencing as far as personnel being assigned to the quarantine sites, either Kanoa or Marianas Resorts, the backfill continues to be left open, so that requires additional overtime, additional work hours. So the actual standards pay based on the austerity is 96.
So 96, and anything in excess of that is OT.
Incorrect. It's 96. Anything of 106 is incurred overtime.
So
We lost 10 hours.
So I'm getting paid 96 hours, so I keep working, and once I hit 107, that is 1 hour overtime.
Correct.
That's the based on the directive right now with
Yes, based on 1873.
and that's spread across the whole 3 islands, no?
No.
Can you just qualify it?
No, with Tinian, we're still running on a 96-hour work week, bi-weekly. We're not at 106.
No, but no, see, Chief Mesa saying it's 96. So,
Right.
Same.
so it's the same, right?
Yes.
Same as that Aurora.
Then you guys just 10 hours. Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is when it gets tricky, and I wanted to maybe just ask, how are we approaching this when, say for example, the second senatorial district, no, they incur cuts to try and stay within budget based on current fiscal year, but then the onset of the coronavirus, we allowed the frontliners, in this case DFEMS and DPS, to be exempted from that. But at the same time, there was incurring an overrun per se. How are they supposed to address that? I mean, is someone going to get additional cuts, or are we allowing that because of the unforeseen circumstances? Anybody? Yeah.
I think in terms of the current operations, when we implemented the 48% cuts, a lot of departments were already in deficit due to the cut, because it's retro back for the full fiscal year. In terms of DFEMS, we tried to ask them to minimize their expenditures to just essential needs, and so that we can prioritize their payroll. In terms of what you're mentioning, if they expend over their in terms of payroll, their overtime, they're being paid 96, and if they work up to 108, that's just still straight time, and it's overtime after that. And usually their overtimes, majority of their overtimes are being covered by COVID funding.
Okay, thank you, Secretary. Just so that my chain of thought, no, I don't lose my line of questioning. As far as personnel, Chief Mesa, are we good as far as the number of personnel to be able to respond accordingly based on, of course, it's kind of an unfair question to ask you now because of the COVID, Nailo, on a, like what I heard earlier, the new normal is the current staffing level sufficient to run based on the population needs on Saipan?
Currently, as we speak, the recommendation of the National Fire Protection has certain recommendations required for every specific unit to be manned. Currently, the apparatus that are at the stations are what we call a skeleton crew. For example, a fire truck that exists at Station 1, or even the one in front of the legislature, that is a 4-man recommended safety standard. So to your question, the current situation we're in, we are, how do you say it, workable. I don't want to say satisfied, but we are manageable, yes.
Thank you. And the chair would like to ask the same question to the respective offices on Rota and Tinian. I will start with Vice.
Yeah, thank
Deputy
you,
Commissioner.
Chair. Yeah, it is a problem, and thank you. Maybe the fiscal analyst maybe might provide you also on my personal worksheet, because I do have a major no error when we had the budget deliberation or budget hearing down in Rhoda with a house, and I totally work with Dave and make that amendment to it, and maybe Dave probably can elaborate more. However, I'm very surprised, and I cannot even how to say this, no, Mr. Chairman, Law. on my personal site, just to explain it out, that some of the cadets that we had requested while they're doing the academy, and when my budget submission, I request the for that cadets for this fiscal year, in the event that the academy completed, but however it derailed now because of the situation. However, some of my cadets that I inserted there in the budget 2021 to be firefighter in the event that they completed the academy. Some of them are being I'm not sure how OMB, or maybe if it's probably an error, so it's an error, but some of my firefighters was pulled out from the original budget, that they're actual firefighters, and they put the cadets in as firefighters that is not been done yet, completed the academy. So we make that new amendment to the your budget analyst down at the House site. So I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure yet if the House passed that new version, but I really want to make that a note for you guys, that's my major concern of putting back my actual firefighters into this their respective personnel worksheet, and put the cadets out where I requested to be only on the cadets, because some of the cadets was put into the actual as a firefighter already for this fiscal year. So that's my major obstacle that I face the challenges when correcting this what is this new personnel worksheet that I inquire. So the budget analyst, I sat down with him when they came down there and make that correction, and some also from my admin was taken out from the personnel worksheet. I'm not sure if they did the revised budget now from the House and OMB, and hopefully can have the reinstatement of those personnel back. Yeah.
Ms. Villa, the point that the Deputy Commissioner was referring to, just can you clarify what you just stated?
I am looking at a worksheet that was provided to me earlier, at the start of this meeting, and I noticed that there were 4 folks that were zeroed out, and I'm not sure whether these are cadets, but they're firefighter ones, and they're indicated as firefighter ones. But if they're cadet and the cadet was suspended in the current year, then we do not have to fund them. But what can be done with the cadets, if it comes back, is like go back to WIA and ask WIA if they can be funded through the WIA program, because that would then be a zero effect to the general fund. Now for the others, if this goes through and it's a lump sum budgeting, how the lump sum budgeting works is here's 900,000, here's 21 FTEs, work your way with that, the number, as long as you don't exceed your ceiling and as long as you don't exceed your allocation, just make it work for your department. That's the concept of the lump sum budgeting, and the administration really appreciates, for the last how many years we've gone through austerity, that was implemented because of that reason, the flexibility.
Thank you. Thanks for the clarification. So I think to ensure that, clarification, Vice?
Yes,
Vice
Mr.
Nota,
Chair.
just correct the.
Hopefully that's the revised budget or the worksheet that Ms. V is looking at it right now. So it's a revised. So hopefully, if that's the cadets that's been striked out, so maybe that's the correct one, because we did make the amendment on it. I request.
This is what I would ask, I'm sorry, Deputy Commissioner, work with, submit your who right now is the FT, full-time FT, eligible gumangay gini.
Yes.
To make sure that we carry through, because the last thing we want the
Yeah,
budget
the
to do is fire someone over
Right.
our budget, so we
Right.
don't want the oversight. So
Yeah, actually, the only thing that I want, Mr. Chair, is just to reinstate back all those actual firefighters, and we can left out the cadets out, no. And the other thing also I wanna clarify is when we did the adjustment of those firefighters, the is salary, some of them have been cut by 50%. I got a couple of firefighters being cut by 50%. Some are 20 some percent. But there is a couple of my, and I'm very surprised to see that when we did the analysis for it. So I'm just concerned
Maybe
also
you're
that
lucky you got some federal funds, but
not zero.
okay. Okay,
Zero-
I
zero,
want to
Mr.
move
Chair.
forward, no, Senator. I mean, Spencer, so I keep calling you Senator. Hello, Deputy Commissioner. I want to ask the same question to Deputy Commissioner De La Cruz. Do we have any issues with the current setup right now, and what you are foreseeing come 2021? Understanding fully that there are 6, WIA that you.
Yeah. So with Station 7, we run a 24-hour operation, a 4-man crew. So with the new apparatus that we have, the new fire truck, which minimum is four manpower to operate. If we go out for a fire, we have nobody on the ambulance. So we have to just take both equipments in to respond. So we still need more manpower.
¿Cuánto pago uno? Yeah, I think I'll look at it on your printout, but
We've had some incidents where we're at a fire and then we have a medical call and we have to weigh our,
during the dry season.
yes, and say,
Understood,
okay, guess 2 go and 2 stay.
I see you responding to Deputy Commissioner.
Sometimes I have to.
Okay, so again, for the purpose of make sure that we don't, especially the ones that are currently in the payroll, make sure that we get them in, and then we'll as we deliberate forth.
We have this. I have the same situation as Rhoda also, where some of my personnel were cut in 50%. So
Can you answer that?
And the reason for that is because of that coronavirus. There's an allocation through the CJPA. There's, I believe, 6 firefighters from Tinian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from Tinian that are funded at 50% under the federal program. So that's for FY 2021. CJPA is a recipient of $1.5 million grant award, which was allocated towards DPS, police, and firefighters for Tinian and Rhoda.
Thank you. See, I think my assumption was correct. There was a federal grant. So
I wish I should know that earlier. So Ms. V, so thank you very much. If that's the case, I raise my case, Mr. Chair.
okay, I'm going to yield my time to Senator Vinny Sablon. I believe he wants to go another round.
Yeah, just maybe another round.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioners and Chief Mesa. Thank you.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the second round. Chief Mesa. So, for the fiscal year 2021, DFEMS is approaching their budget requests with a 20% cut to each staff, correct? I'm trying to, I was calculating here because you guys are working it by 107, 108 to 90 hours. 106 to 96, no? Okay. And then I randomly took like 10 salaries from your personnel and I calculated it, and it's all consistent with like a 20% cut to each of your staff's salary, or each of the personnel from DFEMS, which is that equates to the 96-hour schedule decrease that is being proposed. Is that correct?
No, not 96. Based on my understanding at OMB, we were given 84 or 86.4 out of our 106. So we dropped from 106 to, based on the calculation that my understanding is at 80 some point something hours.
So no more 96.
Not 96.
Okay, so it's down to 80, 84 point something, but it still equates to the 20%. It's a 20%.
Yes,
cut.
yes.
Yeah. So it's a 20% cut. And my earlier question, so I'm I'm gonna reference the statement by Secretary of Finance. Secretary, you said majority of the OT covered by COVID, or majority of the OT may be covered by COVID funding. So I want to clarify the earlier question that I posed to Chief Mesa, and the answer by Chief Mesa was the department's OT is able to be paid out by COVID funds only if their operations are COVID related, correct? Yeah. Secretary, is the CARES Act or the COVID funds able to pay overtime of the firefighters even if they're away from COVID operations? Like, say they're not at the quarantine site. I just want to kind of I want a clarification on your statement saying that majority of the overtime can be paid from COVID. But I guess before you walked in, I asked Chief Mesa, and there was a clear distinction between being paid if they're at the station and being paid overtime when they're performing COVID duties. So can you differentiate the two, or
Thank you,
qualify
Senator.
the statement?
Excuse me. The majority or all the overtime that I see from Department of from DFEMS is COVID related. I may not see probably the overtime of the rank and file at the stations, and that's probably just coming out of their accounts. But normally, or majority, my understanding with the COVID operations is, a lot of DFEMS personnel are down at the quarantine sites, and earlier during the stressful periods of this COVID-19 pandemic, it was almost the whole department was on COVID. And so as we mitigated and what's that term, flattened the curve, and we started getting back to kind of normal operation, but still under this emergency under COVID. I know they pulled back staff. I know that they were they even had to bring in personnel from Tinian and Rhoda to come to Saipan because of the not only COVID, but the current Saipan DFEMS personnel were overworked, so they needed to rotate so that people can function at their best. But yeah, to clarify or confirm my statement, most of the DFEMS overtime I see is COVID related.
Good. That's what I was alluding to. Because I'm identifying any of the overtime that these fine firefighters and the staff of DFEMS do is COVID related. They don't necessarily have to be at the quarantine site or whatnot. And I asked that question because as we head into the new fiscal year, and hopefully there's some sort of second round with CARES, or we have funds that could take us way past fiscal year 20 with CARES Act, and if we could use those COVID funds to cover the overtime of DFEMS, then we could kind of really move the money around within the general fund side, because based on the DFEMS fund status report as of May 31, a total overtime pay incurred was $115,847. So that's with the admin, emergency services, fire prevention and arson, EMS. So that's all in the general. Actually, it totals to $123,406. This is provided by our fiscal analyst. So you can actually really paint a picture of how much is needed, because this is from October 1st, 2019 to May 31, 2020. So I was just trying to get at if there are available funds heading past towards fiscal year 20, we can use those COVID funds to cover the entire overtime that is worked, of course, by DFEMS. So I just wanted to qualify the statement and differentiate the question and answer that I posed earlier before you came in. So that's good. So clarified. So that'd be it. Or one more, Mr. Chairman. Chief Mesa, on your federal funds, I know you mentioned several, but do you have any that are any funds that are approved federal that are pending maybe receipt, like have you received everything to date, or are you anticipating any other funds in the next fiscal year past October 1st on the federal side? Maybe any grants that were awarded but not yet received by the department?
Currently, right now, the only thing that pretty much the department is in what we're waiting for is pretty much just a drawdown from the MSC and the SFA for the additional grants that we want to apply for. That's still pending. I believe one of the grants that we tried to apply for was the SAFER grant, and the other one is the Fire Assistance grant. We're still waiting the opening or the submission dates for those.
So all the others that are, but I know they're referenced here in your letter, so that'll be good information for the chairman. If some additional federal grants come in the middle of our deliberations and the exercise that we're going to take. That's why I was asking if there were any approved federal grants that they haven't drawn down or received that is not accounted for yet in the request. So that's all, Mr. Chairman. That's all. That's all for now. Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Secretary.
Thank you.
Thanks. Oh, Ms. V?
I just wanted to add on, Senator Vinny, each of the department is responsible for submitting an application to make a claim on the COVID funds. So like for the time specifically, and we encourage the Department of Fire to try to capture all that information or those hours that that DFEMS has reported to the COVID operations, so that the CNMI can get reimbursed.
So when those requests are turned in, then you'll define if or the task force will define if it is COVID related or if it can be paid out by COVID funds, correct?
Each of them has to apply directly to get that emergency protective measures under the public assistance program. So they have to submit their request for public assistance and enter the information. And when it comes down, it's awarded to the Department of Fire for that particular purpose.
Okay, already. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Vini. Thank you, Chief Mesa and Soimbi, Vicky. The chair now would like to request that we take a 5-minute break so we can stretch and do other important stuff. So 5-minute break, please. We'll come back at 3:35. Thank you. Good afternoon. We are reconvening our budget hearing for DFEMS. The chair now would like to recognize Senator Vini if you still have any question to pose to the department. No more questions. Okay. I just wanted to can I ask the same earlier that I mentioned earlier to Secretary of Finance regarding Z grant, Z 2.5 certainly will help us assist us in finalizing the process of the budget. Is there anything that the department would like to share to the committee before we move closer to adjournment?
Sir, for my last comment, I'd just like to emphasize that the current situation we're under, we understand with the shortfall of funds. However, if way possible, the salary of personnel is pretty much my commissioner and myself is pretty much priority at this point. So with that said, thank you very much for allowing us.
Okay, thank you, Chief Mesa. Deputy Commissioner Mesgun?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And overall, the same thing like Chair. No, the type we must emphasize is our manpower, the personnel. That will be the most prudent para i-defense right now. tatungan is very very critical right now I dota situation I know I dota no I flow ni salapeta ti sinya ha maintain it mo na lo taza bengogo amso I credit card na necesidad niya I afay I tanisisita gi bandan tat ko para hinemlo itaw to komunidad zan asistiam gi ti benfai sinamzo gi malago mami benfai samzo gi necesidad mami ino amas tak kilolo no pa benfai samzo Mr. Chair zan ni members siya gi pumalo. I'm pretty sure na I think sa poport is po di we are 24 given na para ta assistitory komunidad ta. Za ningi zo ko worry ginis ta pago Mr. Chair tabiati manuhuzung it out of the woods of this situation. So please take priority gi DFEMS and DPS I urge you para na zudam nestigi sa no credit card manggagita sabiya gi sentido na manera na manahalumit. Za gigigo na hafa sinisidita no tutungo kao Hogo Mr. Chair malongo za taza resources gi DFEMS no stemano ta assistio para dan hadi pumalo padif manyelutan na mangaige no po sa like Chief Mesa was mentioning also is the critical situation of our personnel is the most priority gi zami pagone za necesidad I medical no needs na para mangaige gi serbisyo para komunidad an manhuzungi itaw-taw gi no huzong. So, thank you Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Deputy Commissioner De La Cruz.
Apparently all three items were all on the same page with requesting for personnel salaries. That's one of our biggest concern. There's some talks already in the stations that some are going to be looking for part-time jobs, and we don't want them to go that route because we're a 24-hour operation. So if we need extra manpower and they're at their second job, how do we pull them out? So that's our biggest concern right now is personnel. And we could work around whatever revolving funds we have and whatnot.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I just wanted to say this before we adjourn. Other than extending appreciation for being here, a couple of things that maybe something to look into, kind of like outside the box, especially for the islands of Roatan Tinian. Our clinics also are hard pressed, no? Our THC and RHC, they're trying to devise a cost cutting mechanism, and I think I asked this in another setting with Commissioner Dennis Mendiola of how we can strike a memorandum of agreement where our EMT or EMS or EMT can have a MOA with the clinics of the respective islands to man the clinics there to respond to the needs of the community, depending on the hours of operation. Some are looking at it's all about stretching the money and all that, and I look at it as in such a way where it also allows our DFEMS folks to get continuous training on island when they do frequent, like anything that we do it frequently, we master it, so just something to think about, primarily for Roatan Tinian, and of course we can also do it here on Saipan. And other than that, I have nothing further. The committee would like to close this meeting. Senator Vini, any further? Okay, with that being said, entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to offer a motion to adjourn this budget hearing for the DFEMS. So,
and it's duly noted, Senator Vini. All those, because it's just Senator Vini and I are left in the committee meeting, as chair, I will just go ahead and make that call to close this meeting, formally close this meeting. Thank you. This is Masito. Thank you.